Good morning. So finally, some news. Rarely have I gotten up in the past week and thought, why don't we have some good news? Today we have lots of good news. A couple of things I want to cover and a few things I want to say. Number one, to all you veterans, thank you for the job you've done for our country, for keeping us free, keeping us alive. I also want to bring up something that's rarely brought up. I also want to thank all the dogs and horses that fought in wars that helped keep our soldiers alive. Thank you if you're still alive. So it's the military plus those living and loving things that have walked through wars with us. Those horses and dogs and other animals we've used for wars that have fought faithfully against our side. So thank you for our military pets. So we've got the government shut down clear. The Senate's passed it to the House. The House will sign off probably later tomorrow because today's a federal holiday, as if we needed another one of those, right? But we need that for our veterans. So tomorrow the House should take it, and I think it amounts directly to the White House. The president should sign off. So we're looking at Wednesday afternoon to Thursday morning. And of course, there's going to be start to refund everything. So let's cover some of this. Guys, for those of you that are getting ready for your holidays, which is most of America, I want to talk about inflation, but I don't want to talk about the negative is within the grocery store and within your department stores and all that. We'll talk a little bit today about how to focus on those items and avoid what's heavily inflated, okay? So we'll talk about the items that have the most inflation and maybe and how to kind of dodge that by looking at other options. You don't have to do a cookie cutter holiday. That's what makes it really expensive. And these stores have gotten so good. They even have learned, okay, they know how to dodge the name brands. So now stores have figured out what you go to as a second option. So now we're having to look at third options, because if you say the turkey is inflated and you move it down to a hot dog, now the hot dog companies are trying to jack you. And so we have to look at third options because now the stores have figured out a way. And we'll talk a little bit also about how a lot of online stores, depending on your zip code, if you're searching online for food and other things, they will greatly inflate it. If you have a zip code from an area like New York or San Francisco, they will show you a different price, sometimes hundreds of dollars more. And so you've got to search on your computer incognito to get an honest price. Could you imagine that I would sit in Texas, but somebody in California would pay 80% more simply because they can do that? I don't even know how that's legal, but they're doing it. And travel right now, catch a plane, look online, they're all ripping everybody off. I mean, bad. And the fact that we don't have an act of Congress right now, surprising, related to these companies, because that's just frankly just stealing, okay? Depending on zip codes, they're going to show you much different prices. I mean, it's just a money grab. So, looking at that, we're having the reopening. So hopefully Wednesday afternoons to Thursday, we should have reopening of government. The things we should expect are military getting paychecks, which is the first people that should be served in our country, honorably. Second to that, I'm sure the congressmen will be sitting there at HR trying to get their check as quickly as possible. I think they should be served last. In fact, I think they should be waiting till 2028 to get their first check, if at all. Maybe just 50% of the check, because as far as I could see, they haven't clocked in much. Moving on from there, for those of you that follow me, as you may notice, this is a Section 8 channel, but when you give me a month and a half break because the incompetence of the U.S. government, I've had to cover a lot of topics and videos. First thing I'll tell you is our office will resume services for those of you that are struggling with housing. And let's be clear, a lot of our clients are veterans, okay? So for those veterans that utilize federal programs for housing, Food benefits, Medicare, and so on will be back open later this week, and we'll be in full swing Monday. So if you are a client of our company, please do reach back out to us by phone, okay? Stop with the emails. I got enough of those. Just call me, and we'll begin our resumption of services for those that require that. Moving on from there, food stamps, guys, though they're not going to make, for those of you that use it, including our U.S. veterans that are both retired or disabled, your food benefits should be fully restored for December. And I do not know whether or not they're going to be retroactive. In other words, you haven't been paid in full for this month, and so I don't know if that's going to be added in. More than likely, you'll get your back benefits as well. So surprisingly, it could happen anytime now. So you could end up, a lot of you will be able to not have to have bread and butter for Thanksgiving. And I think that's the kind of pressure that it took is, here we are at Veterans Day. We're right on top of Thanksgiving and right on top of, Christmas holiday season. And I think that was the amount of pressure required to finally break those senators and to actually doing their job. And so, we should see resumption of that. Also, for those of you that are in the market and looking for housing, be aware of the president and this package they're putting out. A lot of it has to do with veterans, so there will be a large amount of information coming out of our channel to help you veterans that are on the street, living in tents and everything else. A lot of that has been very much protected by the current president. And so we're going to be talking about that pretty exclusively on our channel, okay? So, inflation. I'm going to give you guys about 5 minutes before I go over inflation. You're going to want to get a pen and a piece of paper, okay? Because you're really going to want to know this information. Before you shop online, before you go in the store, we're going to talk about what to dodge, okay? These numbers are pretty damn accurate. And look, if you guys fall in family, okay, sitting in a mansion, lots of money, and just don't give a damn, then I think most people that probably earn under $200,000 combined or singularly, you might want to pay attention to this because it'll help you dodge items. You don't have to kill a turkey this year, okay? In fact, I'd prefer most Americans didn't even do that because the companies are clearly going to take advantage of you. Turkeys are flying for as much as 200 right now. Okay? That says right on the packaging, we're going to steal from you. Okay, we're not talking about $1 a pound. They're selling this stuff like it's crack cocaine. So, pen and pad, I'll go slow. Plus, you can stop and start the video anytime you need, especially those of you seniors, low income. This is the most important thing you should hear before you go to the store, including our veterans. So I got my list here waiting. While you go and grab a pen and pad, or if you're doing it on your tablet, we're gonna wait a couple minutes here to let you get straightened out, and I'm gonna go ahead and talk to some of the people in our live chat. Also, I'm gonna announce I did testing this week, and I know many of you were miserable. I made 2-hour videos. A lot of time on your hands, but I was testing something. I wanted to see about what the attention focus would be for live videos. It turns out for most of you, 8 to 10 minutes on a pre-recorded video where you just watch it. A live video, your patience pretty much ends at about 30 minutes. So I can tell you that starting tomorrow, not this video, but starting tomorrow going forward, pre-recorded videos will average 8 to 10 minutes, which is about right. Get the information and get out, right? And for live videos, it will average between 20 and 30 minutes, no longer, okay? Except for occasional rants that I have where I completely lose grip of reality and the clock. Okay, you can hate if you want, but nobody should be subjected to me popping my lips for 2 hours. That's why it's so rare to have a government shutdown like this, where I had nothing better to do than to talk about Motel 3s, hookers with one flip-flop, and how we should torment the Congress. I was fed up as everybody else, okay? Nobody wants to see the ugly side of a consultant. You got to see it this week, didn't you? All right, so let's do some good morning. Sheila Davison, good morning. Welcome back to the channel. Peace out, y'all. Welcome back, turkey. Mimicking great news. Hope Rose, thanks to all the current and former members of the U.S. military. You're right, including their pets, including those animals that served in war with them and besides them. Okay, thank everybody that's alive that put their ass on the line to be out there, so we have our freedom. Okay, this is why our country is not socialist while we're not communist, while we're not North Korea, and while we don't live in Cuba, okay? Though our country has many problems, at the end of the day, we're still gun-wielding, red-blooded, flag-carrying people, and we know how to handle our business. Unfortunately, our politicians barely do, but that's okay. As I've said in prior videos, anytime you can't get the cooperation of Congress or the House, a box of matches and a gas can goes a long way where you're on Capitol Hill. All right. Dub Milton, hello everybody. Good morning. Tuesdays. It is a good Tuesday. It's an excellent Tuesday. Alicia Allison or Nielsen, I got my food stamps. Good. So apparently things are catching up. Many of our clients on this channel that watch us are low income, and many more are veterans. That's why I want to caution many of you today. If you say something that's wildly inappropriate about Section 8 housing or food stamps, while we're talking about veterans that utilize that, I will put your ass out this channel, okay? I will shame you endlessly, but I will put your ass out, okay? That's why it's important we understand that not only seniors and disabled use that, but also many, many veterans. Many have fought or injured seriously, and they don't have many other options. And so they have to use the federal system for housing because they can't afford to do it. These people can't work because they're missing their legs, their eyes, and part of their brain. Okay? They can't go out in there and garden. Okay? They're not going to walk through the forest and shoot a deer. And so some of the senseless shit that some people bring into this channel, I'll put you out. So hopefully for all you veterans that have lacked the benefit of food aid, you'll get that. And we were pretty close. Guys, we were only within 5 days, probably, of multiple failures throughout the housing system. And so I'm glad this was resolved because housing authorities were on the teetering end. Within 4 days, most housing authorities, look, it got so quiet in Google News that you couldn't even read an article about Section 8 in any form. I mean, nothing. It was a ghost town. Nobody had nothing to say. And that's because they probably, most housing authorities around America had to close their lights and go home. There's just no money left. I mean, they cooked their budget. There's nothing left. I mean, they were wondering how they were going to pay for vouchers. There were hundreds of housing authorities that service people and veterans that literally ran out of money, couldn't even pay for the vouchers that were already issued. I mean, there are a lot of housing authorities that will be investigated for this because they had no reserve, yet they lied to HUD about that. And so this exposed a lot of fraud through the system, and I'm quite pleased with that. And so while that federal investigation will be ramped up for PHAs that went through insolvency because they misused funds, I will be excited to announce 3 hots and a cot in a federal prison for them. Because, when you steal money like that from housing, you steal it also from our veterans that could have used that housing. So, inflation, let's do it. First on our list, beef and veal. You walk in any store today, you will pay 15% more. Beef and veal, okay? So, anything beef and anything veal, except for you go shoot the deer yourself, So, that's the first step. Let's talk about a non-food item. Car maintenance and repair. Do not take your car to get repaired till after Christmas, okay? The mechanics are standing by with the rip-off book. Double bubble time, okay? Double bubble. Your old job is now $658 plus any other shit they can dream up, okay? So just don't. Home insurance is up 8%. Tobacco products. You're a smoker? Well, guess what? Today marks 8% more. So a pack of cigarettes from when I was young, about $1.50 to $1, that pack of cigarettes now is going to be approaching roughly $11. If you live in San Francisco, it's probably $20 already. Okay. Sugar and beets, 7 to 8%. Electricity. I advise most people evaluate your electric provider every year. Do not treat them as you're a church member. Okay? You don't have to keep them forever. Switch them every year because after the first year, they show you all these wonderful plans, but after the first year, they greatly reduce those plans. And so while you think you're getting the same savings the second year, no, you're not. They're just going to rape you. So just move to the next one, okay? Play musical chairs. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass to re-log in, but look, Don't let the electric company, don't sit there and act like it's grandpa. We gotta keep the same thing since 1967. You're gonna get ripped off that way. You should make it part of your plan every year to go through all electric providers, look at all of them, and get the best rate and keep switching. Okay, it's a dangerous game. You think it's inconvenient? It's gonna be more inconvenient when you blow another $800 a year because the electric company rips you off. All right, moving on from there, hospital service. Walk in the hospital, you will automatically be ripped off 6% more. Postage service, another 5%. Postal office raises everything about every third day, so pretty soon you won't be able to mail anything. And that's provided that they still have the post office was built in 1903. The employees are in their late 90s and they're angry all the time. And if you can manage to get the rusty door that's broken and jammed open in there and not get screamed at or look like a hooker on 3rd Street, you may mail a package for an extreme rate. Don't forget your roll of stamps. They're now, we went from a quarter. Pretty soon, you'll need to enter your credit card for $5 to mail a letter, but 5%. Another 5% on top of what 70% they charge in 4 years. Tools and hardware. Everybody loves to give their husband something nice, including tools. Look, that stuff's going up 5%. So how that's going to work out is Lowe's and Home Depot are going to mark everything up 400%, and then they're going to lower it down to a sale price. That sale price will be approximately 10 to 15% higher than it was in October. Okay, we all know the game. Kroger's mastered it. So did Piggly Wiggly. Mark it up to mark it down, and then the sale is actually just a big ripoff. Amazon's the best at that because what it does is the surge pricing. It waits till it knows people in a frenzy to buy something, and you literally every hour or every minute it's on AI. It'll lower the price. You check that same price for a pair of socks, they're $1 at 2:00. They could be $9 by 10:00. Watch your ass. Okay. Furniture and bedding up 4%. Health insurance up 5% on top of inflation. Pet products, they know you love your pets, so another 3 to 4% ain't bad. The rest of these are pretty good. School tuitions only 3%. Fresh vegetables 3%. Seafood 2%. That's really good. 2% on jewelry. 1.5% on public transportation. 2% on new cars. 1.5% on pork. Guys, consider ham. We're on top of Thanksgiving. For those of you that celebrate that holiday specifically, get a ham. There's nothing wrong with a ham. Hams are really good. I can eat a ham without barely cooking it. All right, jewelry and watches, 2%. Appliances, 1.3%. So, it's good that appliances are cheaper. Though I don't think using the holidays is a way to do this. So we have, I think, Black Friday coming up. So that's going to offer some sales. But not every sale is a sale. Sometimes it's market up to market down, still get ripped off. So just be mindful of that, okay? Just because it offers a coupon doesn't mean that it's anywhere near what it should cost. Okay. Medical equipment. Well, we don't need that one. Dairy products only up 0.5%. So you can buy some cheese. You can buy some government cheese too, some cheddar cheese. Alcoholic beverages up only 0.3%. So if you want to get trashed at grandma's Thanksgiving party, hit the whiskey bottle. You can probably you can have a few drinks. It's only 3% up. But that's not everywhere, I imagine. Alcohol largely be based on prices on the demand of the market, and different parts of the country drink different things, right? Sporting goods is about the same. Fresh fruits, 2%. Gasoline, 0.4. Eggs, 1.3. Well, you remember the egg debacle? I think it was about 8 months ago. Eggs they were trying to go for $1. So those egg producers really started to get greedy. You could see them sitting there sharpening their kitchen knives because I remember going to several restaurants. They wouldn't even give you a half egg on your salad. They would slice it in thin slices. Are we that bad off? Go buy some chickens. Okay. You got a yard, buy a chicken. It'll give you eggs every day and it won't charge you anything except for the corn it eats. If it even needs that. If you got a big lawn, and maybe it'll just eat the crickets out there for you. So that's the report there. So watch out for beef and veal. What's the other? Fresh vegetables at 3% up a bit. Be careful with buying toys and stuff for the pets because that's up big time. Pork's down, so that's a good idea. Poultry's only 1.4%. Chickens are just chickens, and they have too many of them, I guess. So that's a good buy. Poultry and pork are the best buys. Veal and beef are the bad buys. Sugar. Oh, by the way, chocolate's the worst thing you can purchase right now. So any form of chocolate in that bar or candy or whatever you got, chocolate's up 9%. That Hershey's bar, it's gonna be expensive. If you don't believe it, I wouldn't be a fat man talking about candy. Okay, so you got to believe me by virtue of just how overwhelmingly a little bit overweight. Okay. All right, going back over here to the live chat, we've got Alicia. I got my food stamps, and how about the physically disabled and housing? So let's talk about that real quick. As I mentioned, food stamps. For those that are veterans, seniors, disabled, and everybody else that qualifies under U.S. policy, that shall resume in full in many parts of the country as of right now. You should be up, your account should be updating. Many more will see it at the end of the month, and there shouldn't be any further delay to that. But that will only happen when we reach Thursday. So Wednesday, we need Congress has enacted and voted, but the president's not signed off on the government shutdown. So we have Wednesday and Thursday to go. When Wednesday and Thursdays approach and the president signs and they issue the funds, then it'll happen pretty quickly. Now, not all things will, some things will drag out a little longer. So we should expect a full resumption of food stamps. We should expect a full return of housing authorities, housing vouchers, Section 8, low-income housing, and all of those things. And so I'm only giving you the broad strokes because that's all I have right now. I've got to see the bill. I got to see what they wrote in there. A large portion of it is for those of you that are veterans. So I think that keeping an eye on the news or even our channel all the way through the weekend is a really good idea because it's good news. It is the end of all this. And it happens just before Thanksgiving. So that's what we all wish for. All right, moving back down. Good morning, everyone watching from Maryland. Alicia Nelson, shut up. Who in the world are you talking to? Carla Williams, good morning, everybody. Okay, so I'm going to end up putting this person out of here. I'm going to remove the comment because I'm not certain this person is violating the terms of my channel, but when we start telling people to shut up, that's where you're going to end up out of here. So for now, the comment's removed. The next step will be a block. Guys, unless I'm having a rant in one of those videos, please don't. Let's not take it to a negative side, okay? We've had plenty of that for a month. Okay. Today's about veterans, about watching things reopen, about, enjoying a bit of life, preparing for the holidays, enjoying friends and family, and thanking the people that keep our ass free, okay? What we're not going to do is trade profanities today and in the chat, threaten or otherwise try to control people, okay? I will put you out. I'm not up to that today. All right? So let's take a look here. Karen knows. God, there was a lot more comments than I thought. Oh, I scrolled down like, oh my God, y'all written a whole sheet here. Karen knows a slipper and a bunch of laugh faces. Yep. Pitbull raising. Government username says pitbull raising. I don't know what that means. Brenda, good Veterans Day. Good morning, Jay. Thank you very much. Good morning to you. I hear my phone going. Whoever's in this channel watching this live video, please stop calling my phone, okay? Why do y'all guys do that? You see I'm in this video and y'all calling my phone. Government username, put them on with Sally, right? Oh, brothers, always look at your free local food sources. The big thing about that is, guys, we need to look at our pride and then we need to stop thinking we need to buy everything with a name brand. Now, I get that, like when I go to a grocery store and, we're dealing with inflation, I'm looking at cheese because if you get the cheese too cheap, it tastes like shit, right? So I think a lot of people look at that. Whenever it's possible to use vegetables and other things that are healthy, and the only difference is just the name brand, just get the cheaper stuff because you're buying the right to eat vegetables. It doesn't make any sense. Okay. So for many of us, whether you've got money or you don't, whether you got chandeliers or you don't have to have name brand everything. Okay. The chicken doesn't have a name brand either. And they try to do that. Tyson's Food will convince you that it's a better chicken because it came from Tyson's. It ain't no better chicken. It's the same damn chicken. It is any other chicken. It doesn't have any different DNA. But it have you convinced that you're a little bit more uppity because your chicken was wrapped entitled better. The world we live in, right? Jessica or Jess Flame. Some food banks will deliver it. Just call them. Anybody aware of, well, if there is delivery, I think that's a great thing, but I don't know a lot of food banks that deliver unless you're in a concentrated geographical area. But if that's the case and people want to share that in a channel, that's fine as long as it's real. Hopefully, if you can live without a car, then you will save a lot of money. Of course, that might not be possible for most people. Well, when tough times hit, I think we're all skilled. We turn on and off the things that we need. And we decide personally for each party what's an acceptable amount of pain and misery, Um, so in this case, we're as soon as the money is turned back on for the government, then so are all these programs. And so you still need to be watch out because people charge more. That inflation is everywhere. You want to dodge those things. That's why we were talking about inflation by product type. Anyway, that's running the risk of rambling. Government usernames. It is expensive to be poor in America. It's expensive because it is America. Okay. J8580, happy Veterans Day to all the other veterans out there. Thank you for the stream this morning. It was great to wake up to. It's great to wake up free, isn't it? I don't think a lot of people realize just how much it means to have veterans in your country. There are a lot of countries that aren't free, even the ones that say they are. You're truly free here. You wake up, you're free. Even Sally at the red light, she's free too. She woke up free. She's not indentured. All right, moving on from there. Jay, happy Veterans Day to all the other veterans out there. And thank you, Jay, if you're a veteran. Jesus Flame, I lived in the Balkans for 10 years, and if you don't mind the boredom, it's not a bad way for female. Okay, we ain't not doing all that right now. Yep. Yeah, but that DUI will cost you $14 in California. So apparently, we're having an internal conversation in the channel. Hopper says pasta is still a good buy. It is. Everything in moderation, right? Even with pasta, in good moderation, it's a good thing to have. Broccoli is a good idea. It mentions one. Muskogee Land says he's watching. Alicia, holy moly. So we'll snap, card load, and work. And look, food benefits or primarily food stamp, SNAP, whatever you want to call it, that is usually administrated by the state. So the state accepts federal funds and they determine who's getting and who's not getting and the rates and the rules. Okay. So you'll have to check your own state to see, guys, but you should expect by this weekend, most of you will have that. You'll have your food stamps or food benefits, or they're the missing parts of it. And you should expect November to operate normally. For those of you using Section 8 housing, including our veterans, you should expect that we're going to have a lot of housing orders reopen with money. And those that are in peril of not having their voucher paid for will have it paid for. And we should expect a very smooth January, February, March. We just got a couple more days there. We need the president to sign that order that says, hey, we're ready to go. Winnette, my SNAP works in New Mexico. Good. Government username in California, they do deliver. Excellent. Alicia Nelson. So chicken poop stick to the weak. I'm not quite sure what that means. Ned, I own no vehicle. I loan my car to somebody else. They totaled out the vehicle. Look, I don't loan anything to anybody, okay? Because nobody treats your shit as well as you're going to treat it. And we know how that works out. That's why people learned that with loaning tools. I wouldn't even loan my car out. The fact that somebody would have the nerve to want to borrow another person's shit, that's a gamble. It means it means you're willing to take a risk while owning someone else's property. You want to borrow something from me, then I need the cash value before you leave. I need a deposit. I need a deposit for the exact amount of the value of it. Have your money back when I have my tool back in the same condition, unscratched, undamaged, and uncompromised. So, well, guys, I've enjoyed talking with you. You have your list of inflation items to avoid. We have thanked our veterans and their service pets that have also kept us free. We discussed that food stamps, uh, the partial payments will become full payments, and many have already in most states. Uh, Payments for food stamps throughout the states should completely resume by December 1st. But for the most part, most of you you'll be even in a couple of days, if not by Monday. For those of you that participate in housing programs, including low income housing, affordable housing, and so on in Section 8, all that should presumptively resume starting this weekend. Keep in mind, when you close things this long as a government shutdown, we don't expect instant results. Okay, so I know a lot of you guys that have casework with all of us don't race. You can race them all of us. It doesn't mean that they're ready to disperse. So I hope we are back on track as a nation December 1st, and if it's possible, by Thanksgiving. I believe that there'll be a start of openings as the president signs, and then that should run all the way to December 1st. So we're seeing everything reopen. That's good news for everybody. That's also going to give you lots of extra time and a little bit of extra for Thanksgiving and for the family. And it's just going to feel a lot better starting your holidays and ending them with peace of mind that our government has decided that they'd like to work. Also, for those of you flying for Thanksgiving, planes, we should see a reduction of the catastrophe of cancellations should start to ease up. But unfortunately, it's probably too late. So for those flying, it's going to be very difficult out there. There's lots of backups and cancellations. And of course, Thanksgiving causes that anyways, but it's confounded by the fact we remain closed and didn't pay our air traffic controllers. Also, those of you that are military and otherwise, you should start receiving payments. You defended our internal country, and we didn't pay you, which is the most egregious thing ever. That's why I think a lot of those politicians should be hung out to dry for this on both sides. You know, forget a congressional hearing. I mean, put them out. Salem witch trials. I like an accounting of every moment those guys work. I think the next government shutdown, we should remove the air conditioning, lock them in the building, just like we're voting for the Pope, turn the heat up to about 800. Nobody gets dinner bell until you make a decision. This is really politicians showing their ass in the worst possible way, and then put it on public display for the world. So don't, this is what causes other countries to want to invade and pop a rocket across our border because they're not even sure that we're running our own government. So it's the most shameless thing. I think the most politicians need to go on and vacation somewhere else right now because nobody wants to look at them or even talk to them. Everybody's just sick to death, right? So besides that, the only negative in the picture is I don't want to see or hear about any government anymore. I just like to see the country run, for all of us to enjoy our holidays, to be able to eat, to have housing, and for those that need those services, be able to get those as we follow in to our wonderful next year, 2026. It's going to be an exciting year for many of you. Lots is coming. A lot of things are coming that's going to help with housing, food insecurity, new rules, new policies, new funding. And so there's going to be a whole lot to talk about from now until about March next year. Whole lot. All right, guys, enjoyed talking with you. I'm going to shut it down. Let's see how long I managed to ramble on today. 34 minutes. So we better kill it now. We'll see you this afternoon.